Morning.
Morning, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Can't hear anybody.
Oh,
Morning, Rob. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Well, good. Glad to hear it.
Morning, Rob, it's Jean.
Hi, Gene. How are you? Oh, good. I wasn't sure if people could hear me.
No, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, wonderful. Very good. Very good.
Good morning, Chris, how are you? How's things going?
Hi, Gene. Well, still on the green side.
I just got my thing, I get to go get my shot in 2 days.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, I've been waiting a while, and, I mean, obviously we all have my doctor friends, so that all worked out, so I'm excited.
okay, it is 8:30.
Well, that's a great thing. That's a
Yeah.
great thing. Yeah. I'm actually, well, I mean, cat's out of the bag, and we're being pretty open about it. The reason I'm coming to the meeting from home today is I actually did test positive last week.
It's
Oh,
red
wow.
and I'm
Sorry.
alive.
Well, it's all right. We've,
Okay,
my
ladies and
girlfriend
gentlemen,
did as
it is
well.
8:30.
We know where we contracted
Actually, it's
it.
8:31, so
Forgot
I'm
it.
going to call the
And,
meeting to order.
You know, the symptoms we've had have been pretty, really manageable. So we've been lucky that way. But,
Rob?
Oh,
it is
good.
what it is. Poor
Oh, just so
Kathy.
you know, she's waving at us.
Can you
so
guys
she's
hear
ready to
us?
Start the meeting.
I
Good
see.
morning, Beth.
Good morning.
Can you hear us?
Morning, Beth.
Good morning. Can you hear what's going on here? No.
No, they can't hear us.
Your mic on?
Beth, can you hear us?
It's red.
We can hear you, but you can't hear us.
I can't hear Beth.
I can't either.
Chris or Jean, can you hear? I guess you can't either. Okay.
Rob doesn't look too good.
Well, I'll still have the meeting
Well,
called.
maybe IT will have to unmute us.
Yeah.
Don't they usually have something?
I didn't necessarily expect you'd be on the call, but do you have any interest when we're talking about, I mean, do you want to just speak to the group?
Well, we'll let them have their little side conversation and go through part of this.
Business resources.
Sure. The certification of open meeting law requirements have been met. And now it looks like they're muted. Roll call of committee members. Beth Killian, Chair of the Committee, Supervisor number 7.
Bob Petrick. Joe Feltus.
Dan Schreiner.
And we know Rob is here. Buzz
Yes.
is,
Pictures on there.
yep, Buzz, can you hear us?
Good morning.
Good morning, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Rob, can you hear us now?
I can, yes. Can you guys see and hear me?
Okay.
Beautiful.
And then we've got Jean Galazinski, so we
Good
are.
morning.
Good morning. The agenda has 26 items. We need someone to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Please state your name before you make a motion, because as I listened to last month's meeting, I couldn't tell who was saying what.
Feltus, so move.
And a second?
Nutter, second.
Thank you. Any changes or questions on the agenda? Then all those in favor of approving the agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, agenda's been approved with, I believe, one abstention. Approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, 3-2.
Feltus, so move.
Petrick, second.
Any questions on the minutes? I did talk to Becky, the date is wrong, but that's pretty minor for approving of the minutes in item 5. If there's nothing else, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And Killian will abstain. since she was not there. Public comment. Anyone out in the public that wants to make a comment should call 715-538-1770. Again, anyone from the public wishing to make a comment, please call in 715-538-1770. Third and final call for public comments, calling in 715-538-1770. It appears there are no public comments, so we'll move on to number 7 and get a Wisconsin Great River Road update.
Well, good morning, everybody. From my notes, I can tell you that, as you all know from the last meeting, that Wisconsin was part of the state that did the paperwork for the All-American Road designation. We did receive it. At present time, we're working with Lee Sensenbrenner, Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and Wisconsin Department of Tourism on putting together a celebration, if you will, up and down the Great River Road. So we're thinking about doing it in 2 days, going, and La Crosse would be like the central for the event. So like the Department of Tourism can be there, the secretary, the designees, and so forth, and then doing one from Vernon County south, and then from Trempealeau up to Pepin and Pierce County. And I will provide you all with more information when that comes, and an invitation, of course. At present time, I'm working on getting our visitor guide up and going. We're just finishing up with our paperwork, so the invitations will be sent out to the advertisers so we can get going on that. We also will be doing presentations along the road for the GEM grant that we received through that availability through the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. On Wednesday, March 3rd, I went to the town of Buffalo for the Mississippi Flyway Trail meeting. They wanted to update people. And then they were holding a meeting, which I went, well, I didn't go to, I went virtually, but I wrote a letter in support that the Buffalo County Board would support the last 2.8 miles to hook it up to the Great Bike State Trail. And they did approve it. And one of the gentlemen just got on to be a board of director. His name is Rick Demeyer. Him and his wife donated $90,000 to match the $90,000 so they can start with the study, which is fabulous. Obviously, that's a lot of money, but they are very passionate about outdoor recreation, biking, birding, hiking, and all those things. And he was kind enough to read my letter for that. As it continues to go on, the Longwoods International Study in regards to COVID-19 and travel continues to go out. I just got another one this morning from Drew Nussbaum. 88% of the travelers plan in the next 6 months to go. And always people are still considering, businesses that have on their websites, Facebook, the other social media, the importance of hand washing and masks still continue to be wanted by many people, even in regards to the shot. But it's so important that the businesses do that. And I believe Chris maybe is going to talk a little bit more about that. And then the last thing is, this is the second year in a row that WIGCOT, the Governor's Conference on Tourism, could not be done in person. So they're doing it virtually. My first one was March 16th, and then I had one April 1st. And then I've got the one April 20th and May 6th. So they're bringing in the people that would have been talking to us in person is now virtual, and they're doing a really good job. So that's all I've got.
I just want
Thanks.
to add, Gene. Oh, sorry. This is Rob. I just want to add, Gene. I just want to thank you for keeping us up on that because I'm following that as well. But you've done a really good job of keeping your pulse on, especially the Flyway Trail the Flyway Trail and what's going on there in Buffalo County. So thanks personally for keeping me so updated as well.
You bet. It's good partnership.
Is there anything else for the Wisconsin Great River Road update or the Flyway Trail update? Anybody have any questions for Gene or anything to add?
Something I'll just throw in about the Flyway Trail, and I don't know if this was mentioned before, but the village of Trempealeau, well, not the Trempealeau area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, they actually raised a good little chunk of money to help donate towards the Flyway Trail that lasts 2.3 miles that we're looking to get finished to connect to the wildlife refuge. So I believe there's going to at some point, and Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you've heard more about this, but there's going to be a little bit of a ceremony where Trempealeau presents a check basically to the Flyway Trail. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, I believe they're something they want to do, but I haven't heard anything as of yet. But definitely keep everybody in mind, and it's nice that Buffalo County and Trumbull County continue to work together. So.
Then item number 9, Discover Trempealeau County Reboot and WHTL Tourism Show update.
Yeah, just a quick little update on both of those things. So we had our first recording, or the first recording that I was a part of for the outdoor or the tourism show basically for WHTL. We discussed this at a past meeting. It was really nice. We ended up spending, probably close to 20 minutes just talking about different, in that episode, different outdoor rec opportunities within Trempealeau County. And then we were able to share that on our social media. And it got some good shares and likes and that sort of thing. So I actually, much like, and to Reed's credit, and the Snowmobile Club's credit, much to how that has become a very popular program. I really do think this is going to grow into something where people are tuning in at 8:05 on Thursdays, on WHTL, so they kind of catch that tourism update. So it's a really good regional partnership as well, because of course, not just Trempealeau County, we've got Jackson County and Eau Claire as well. So and then of course other folks being brought in. I'm not sure if you're going in at some point, Bob. I know they mentioned that you were interested, and that'd be really great too. So I imagine they'll bring in different folks that have different, are connected in different ways to tourism in Trempealeau County and broader. So, and then on another note, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we finally are at the point now with the weather getting better and with the COVID situation, where we're going to, or I'm going to start partnering again with TCC or WTCO. They've changed their name, if you didn't know that, our local community television station, to shoot some more episodes of Discover Trempealeau County. And as you all know, outdoor rec is going to be, 2020 was an incredible year for outdoor recreation. And I think we're only going to see that and in 2021, and I shared an article actually from, or a news article, actually from Chris Hardy here, where he was speaking to that on the news. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is we're going to focus on outdoor recreation at first. I think outdoor sort of recreation opportunities, both businesses and maybe public parks and that sort of thing. And then I think that's going to be another cool way we can share that on our Trempealeau County social media for people to enjoy and get a better taste of what we've got to offer here in Trempealeau County for outdoor rec, because there's no better place in Western Wisconsin to enjoy the great outdoors than Trempealeau County. So that's what's going on with that. And just wanted to give you a little update.
So you kind of touched in the Trempealeau County Outdoor Recreation Plan, or do you want to add more to that?
Oh, no, sorry, that's a separate agenda item, I believe,
okay.
right?
Yes.
Yep. So on the outdoor rec plan, as you know, as I had mentioned last month, a piece that I'm still working on, but I made a lot of headway, is inventory of assets, which we have to have within our outdoor recreation plan. The next big piece is to talk to both municipalities and organizations about possible projects that they're looking at in the next 5 years, basically. So, right now there has been some talk for a few years between the village of Trempealeau and the township of Trempealeau about a combined park that they want to develop on the north side of the city of Trempealeau, basically. So that there's an example of something that we would want to get written into our outdoor recreation plan. Of course, the major development up in Strum, where they're developing the old ski jump into a park, a trail system. And that's already, they've done incredible progress. And I know Ann and Inland Records created a really incredible map of their trails in that. But then we want to make sure we write that plan into our outdoor recreation plan. So that's kind of the point we're at right now, where we're gathering information about what projects are we looking at long term, because even though a project doesn't necessarily have to be in your plan to possibly get DNR funding or funding from other grant resources. But if it is written into your outdoor recreation plan, it's more likely to get funding when it's applied for. So that's where also a lot of what this summer will be is meeting with groups, being able to garner this information, but also, our committee, luckily geographically, is very diverse geographically where people are from within the county. So if you know of projects, maybe an organization that you're involved with is planning developing a piece of land for outdoor recreation purposes, if that information can be gotten to me, we can work that into our outdoor recreation plan as well. So, and then another piece of homework I'm going to ask of the committee, I will email this out within the next couple days, but basically we have our action plan from our last outdoor rec plan, and what I would like you to do is basically take a look at what was on there 5 years ago, maybe what have we accomplished, what haven't we, and start maybe in your own heads thinking, well, what are the important actions or what should be on our action plan going forward, for the next 5 years, as this document will help guide that those projects. So what I will do is I'll basically it is also you can find it. It's the very last page of our outdoor rec plan. I think page 47, something like that. And if you can look at it that way, but I'll also send it to you. And I would really appreciate, the committee giving their thoughts to it and that. So that's where we stand with that.
Rob, do you want any comments at this time?
Yeah, I was just going to say, anyone have anything to add?
I guess kind of thinking along those lines, Rob, we've got that bike trail system that we surely want to showcase in the plan, that kind of trails. But I'm wondering about, given all the interest in paddling, and you don't have to go very far to see a kayak on top of a vehicle anymore, about the potential for developing water trails on the Trempealeau and Buffalo rivers. I mean, the Buffalo especially flows through many, many miles of public land and public hunting grounds. And so access would have to be developed, access, put in takeout points. And even last summer, I know that Sportsman's Club over in Strum tried to clear the river open up a trail from probably 4 miles, 3 miles upstream of the pond in Strum down to the pond. And that might be something that we should put out there. And I don't know, do we have a water trail system within Perot and the National Wildlife Refuge already that could be showcased in the plan to some degree?
We know, Buzz.
Those are just some concepts.
Yeah, I agree. You a few months ago had brought up the importance of maybe like, basically, mapping where our trails would be, where the trailheads are, and we do have, or the launch off points rather, we do have those marked, but then maybe like getting some mileage figured out as well, so people can calculate like, well, how far is it from here to there and that sort of thing. So I agree with you that that's really important, and definitely something we want to work into our outdoor rec plan, and is something that was an action item in our current plan as well. So it is something that's been on the radar. I can't think at the moment. You ranked the action items in terms of importance, and I forget where that one was put in terms of ranking. But I agree. It's our waterways are, especially with the Trempealeau and the Buffalo rivers. Yeah, I think that's essential that we get on that, and we're able to kind of just develop a little more of, like you said, maybe it's knowing what the links are and where you can put in and that sort of thing. So I agree. Thank you for that.
Buzz, this is Jean. Just so you know that the Perot and the Refuge do have things that are printed that Rob we can pull and put that in there so he doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. So I think it's a great idea as well.
Gene, they have, sorry. Gene, they have the printed like landings and that sort of thing is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle had something she wanted to add.
I don't know if this is in the right category. Do I have to press something? Yes,
Yeah.
just press the button.
And- Okay. I just was notified yesterday about this business. It's homemade bread. It starts with the M sourdough. It's between Fountain City and the bridge going into Winona. And it's a big hut, and she makes homemade breads, and she makes designs, and no bread is the same. And that would be some kind of a tourism thing, I don't know, but I just thought I'd mention if you people know about that, because I didn't. It's really kind of unique, so that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, there's always, we've got a lot of really interesting businesses, and actually I think one thing we've seen from the pandemic is people trying new things, and figuring out ways to highlight those and get them to be part of our known tourism assets are, really cool thing.
Anything else on the outdoor rec plan? Then COVID aid for businesses update.
So I put this on here with the hope that we possibly would have more clarification on, as you know, the third stimulus bill was passed a little while ago now. And oh gosh, it was, and forgive me, I don't have the number in front of me, but multiple billions, of course, are coming to Wisconsin, and the government, or the governor, Evers, in very broad terms laid out sort of where he wants those monies to go towards in Wisconsin. So broadly, he said $600 million for small businesses, $500 million for continued pandemic response, $200 million for infrastructure, which hopefully a large piece of that, I think the plan would go towards broadband expansion, which of course we all know is incredibly important to us here in rural Wisconsin, and then $50 million specifically towards the tourism industry. So as we get more information on the actual particulars, as you may recall, Wisconsin had a couple rounds of We're All In grants, which, if you remember me talking about, that took up a lot of my time. But it was a great thing trying to connect businesses to those We're All In grants. The first round was $2,500, the second round was $5,000. And that really helped a lot of businesses. So I'll keep you updated when more is figured out. Unfortunately, like most things in our government right now, there's some politics involved with how that money will probably get allocated here in Wisconsin. The governor has his plans. The legislature wants to have more involvement in what those plans would be, and we'll see where that goes. So. Another reminder, and I believe this has been changed since our last meeting, is that the second draw of the PPP loans, so the Paycheck Protection Program loans, have been extended where you can apply now till May 31st. I believe that was going to end March 31st, and then it was extended for 2 more months. Which is a great thing. That's been an incredibly important program for many businesses here in Trempealeau County and all over the country. Again, a lot of our time was helping connect businesses to that aid, and then of course helping them kind of work through the paperwork of that and the red tape. The difference with the second draw PPP loans is that with the first draw, basically any business could apply. You didn't have to show financial loss. In the second draw, you have to show that you had a 25% loss in revenue in at least 1 quarter of 2020. So that's a little bit of a difference. I think they're trying to make sure the monies are a little more focused on businesses that really did see harm in 2020. So I guess that's just what I wanted to share there. Luckily, we've got Chris Hardy here as well. And Chris, I don't know if you wanted to bump in quick and just say a few words and just to remind everyone, Chris is the CEO of the Seven Rivers Regional Alliance and has been doing important work, both during and before the pandemic for economic development issues all over the Coulee region, the Seven Rivers region, excuse me. So, Chris, if you want to add your 2 cents, I think that would be really nice.
I will happily jump in. I think one of the challenges, I'm getting some feedback here. Everybody, okay, now we're better. So I just want to elaborate a little bit on what Rob said about the Paycheck Protection Program. An important change was made in February for sole proprietors and independent contractors on PPP. And what that did was prior to that, you had to use your net profit on your Schedule C, and they changed that to actually allow you to take what your another line item off of your Schedule C. So what that means, without getting into the tax weeds, is that it made small businesses and sole proprietors, and a lot of our small businesses operate under the sole proprietorship, the ability to borrow probably 3 times the amount of money that they would have been eligible for on the PPP, which is a great thing. However, there were a lot of small businesses who really needed the money that jumped in right away in early January and got their Paycheck Protection Program loan or grant because it is forgivable if you follow the rules. That those folks were not eligible. They did not make it retroactive. So the Seven Rivers Alliance, I wrote a letter to our congressman and Senator Baldwin as well, suggesting that the SBA look at revising those rules, that small businesses shouldn't be penalized simply because they jumped in early and grabbed some money. Was hoping that along with the extension that Rob mentioned, that would be part of the new agreement, that they would make it retroactive. But so far there hasn't been any movement on that, which I think is unfortunate because I think that would really help a lot of our small businesses. But the fact that there is an extension and it's important for our businesses. Just a couple other things to mention. I want to realize I'm jumping on your agenda here, so I appreciate the time. I think your discussion about water trails, I think, is exceptionally important. When I was at the Black River Area Chamber of Commerce, I looked at the feasibility of designating the Black River as a state water trail all the way from Medford to La Crosse, and obviously that also runs through Trempealeau County. There is a formal process to go through that to have it designated as an official water trail. But I would encourage you to take a look at that, because the one thing that we did find with tourism last year that you've already alluded to is that outdoor recreation exploded last year. It was one of the few safe things that people felt that they could still do. And so it was a banner year for camping and fishing. Fishing sales were paddling, all of those kinds of things. And so I think there's a great opportunity to market that this year. And Gene is also absolutely correct that the Department of Tourism has done these surveys since the pandemic began, and it's interesting to watch the results of that. We're now at the point now where people are really ready to go out and do tourism. And I think there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. They're not interested in flying. They really want to do stuff local or something that they can drive to. And I think that gives Trempealeau County a great opportunity when it comes to marketing the assets that you have as we hit the traditional tourism season. So I'm hosting on April 19th. I've invited all of our regional tourism folks to a Zoom meeting where we'll have Drew on there along with AJ Frells from Explore La Crosse to really talk about the great opportunities that we have for tourism in this upcoming season. And Gene also mentioned it was very important, and I was on a couple of media interviews last week, that while people are eager to do something, they also, more than 50%, want to make sure that where they're doing tourism is a safe place. And so they do want masking, and they do want social distancing. And so, despite the politics that's involved with, is there a mask mandate or is there not, it's kind of irrelevant when it comes to tourism. People want to know that they can go and have a good time at a safe place. And so we're continuing to work on getting things kind of back again, and we'll be following the state as if there's more money that's going to be available through WEDC. We'll certainly be involved in helping to distribute that. But just wanted to sit in, appreciate the continued work that you guys do for tourism. Because tourism is economic development, and it's vitally important to our region. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, I just got one question. How are you going to incorporate that safety aspect into the marketing?
Is that for me, Buzz?
For you or Chris.
Yeah. I know for for Trempealeau County, basically when we do our marketing, when we've been pushing different businesses on our social media, I'm looking at businesses, though of course we represent all businesses in Trempealeau County. We're trying to highlight businesses that are doing those safe practices, and though it hasn't been getting as much attention now, Trempealeau County still does have Together Against COVID-19. Businesses have signed up, to do that, basically taking the pledge to do these safe actions and that sort of thing. So I know just when I am making decisions, because we've got so many great things to do and see in businesses here in Trempealeau County, but we only can share so much in our social media. There's only so much we can push out there at one time. Right now, I'm especially focusing on businesses who are doing things safely. And and there's a lot of headwinds against it, but I think both the health department and myself and others, we're basically what Chris said there. We're pushing that truth that it's not whatever you think about masks, whatever you think about this pandemic. Think about it as dollars and cents. As for your business, people are looking for safe places to go and spend their tourism dollars. Right now, I think if people have two options, a place where none of your employees are wearing masks everyone's crammed in together, or they've got another option where the employees are wearing masks and there's good social distancing and maybe fresh air option outside. I think people are going towards the latter, you know. So I just know from Trempealeau County's perspective, we're you know, obviously we're here to advocate for all businesses in Trempealeau County. As this pandemic continues, we're going to, you know, particularly be focusing on highlighting businesses that are being safe, because it's a branding issue too. You know, we talked about this months ago. With Trempealeau County, you know, there is talk of a third wave of you know, the virus, and that it could be coming. We may be seeing it start, but we basically, you know, we don't want to get that branding of being an unsafe place to come. So that's from my perspective, that's what we're going to be focusing on. And I don't know, Chris, if you've got some thoughts on kind of the wider regional plan or ideas.
Sure. So I think that will certainly be part of our discussion at our April 19th meeting, to kind of lay that question out, because I think that especially when it comes to tourism, we know that people come and they don't look at borders, they look at what's there to do. And so if we can take more of a regional approach, then I'll see what comes out of that April 19th meeting. I think the key is to try to keep businesses informed as best possible with the facts, and they're going to have to decide what they want to do. And you know, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, you know, you can't tell the businesses. There's an extent of what you can tell them to do, but I think that they will do things that will be in their customers' best interest. And if we share the proper information, we'll let our businesses hopefully make those smart decisions. And then I think it's important for businesses to, as they are sending their message and marketing to their customers, that if that message is on their website or part of what they're marketing is that, hey, come here, enjoy yourself, have a safe, good time, that there's a way to make that happen. It's a difficult process, but I think we can walk our way through it.
Jeannie's got
I have a
something.
question. Does the health department's press releases go to all the businesses? Because the most recent one I got indicated that Trempealeau County has the variant that came from Great Britain, which is highly contagious. And the people that are getting, I was just listening to the news on the way here, the people that are getting sick and in the hospital are not my age people. They're late teens to 40 and 50-year-olds. So, and I know in Trempealeau County there are some businesses that have taken down the mandatory mask signs, and I just won't go. So I'm wondering, do businesses get that information? Rob, do you know? Are they aware that we have the variant here in Trempealeau County?
So from my understanding is whenever the health department puts out a press release, it does go out to all the licensed businesses.
Okay.
So basically any business that receives some sort of inspection, some sort of oversight from our health department, that goes out. They're part of the very large listserv, you know.
Okay.
So I would say yes, especially licensed businesses. And I know particularly that fact that the variant was found in Trempealeau County has received some media attention. I know
Okay.
it was a story that was reported on a little bit. So,
Okay.
excuse me, I do know I do know that information is getting sent out. So, how much it's being absorbed by businesses, you know, and being then taken to heart and that I mean that's another discussion. But at least I know the health department. I mean, there is no one list of all business emails within Trempealeau County, though that is something we've looked at and I know there is a listing of many of the Trempealeau County businesses. But yeah, I know the health department does send it out to all their licensed businesses.
Anything else on that topic? Job descriptions for the compensation study. Is Ann taking this?
I certainly can.
Or Rob, I mean, I don't care. I don't know
I didn't
who-
put it on the agenda, but
Nope. Yeah, and you definitely take it. I think, Beth, if I'm right, you kind of wanted this on there, and I don't know, Ann, do you think it'd be helpful to talk through what you're having everyone in the office do right now?
Yes,
For the compensation?
I can certainly do that.
And I also know, to comment before you get started, that I thought I read in an email, these are due by April 9th, which is like just a few days away.
So I think that was a misprint, because
Oh.
I talked to HR and they said the 19th they're due to me to review, and then I send them up to HR.
Thank you.
We had a meeting, a department head meeting with Carlson Detman on March 15th, and they gave us an overview of what we should be doing as supervisors and department heads. It's a 10-page job description questionnaire that I sat down with everyone and kind of went over and explained it to them, how to fill it out. And then I let them go ahead and fill it out and send it back to me. And then I'll review it. There's 3 pages that the department head or supervisor needs to fill out on each job description. And then, like I said, they're due back April 19th to me, and then I will send them to HR. HR reviews them, and they'll send them up to Carlson Detman.
And maybe you could explain, because I know the county board members know, what this is all about, but our citizen members might not know why we're doing this.
Right. It's a compensation study to see how we fall within the workforce here, within the local workforce around us, and see if there needs to be adjustments to our wages. And it's hired out, it's not done in-house. Someone else goes through all that information and makes that decision. Let's see, it's some of the things they're looking for is eternal equity, external competitiveness, consistent methodology, and transparency. So I know one problem is we lose a lot of employees to Eau Claire and La Crosse counties because they pay more and they're close. So I think that's one concern is keeping good staff here and making sure they're compensated fairly.
If I could just add, this is something that we do regularly within the county, and there hasn't been a wage study probably in 8 years or more. So we were overdue for it.
I think 2013 was the last
Yeah.
one.
And a lot of people weren't happy with that last.
No.
So we went in a completely different direction this year, and hopefully we'll get some really good feedback and information, and also looking at, how different departments are structured and do we need to make some changes, so. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Thank you for that update. Jean had brought up something about tethering of domesticated animals, and did
Okay.
everyone get a copy, or just?
Not everyone. I don't think I have enough for everyone, but you can share this. And we don't need to make any decisions today. This is just, I spoke with Becky Schultz, who is actually from Jackson County, and she put together, Jackson County did do an ordinance a couple of years ago, I think, on permanently chaining it's related to having dogs that are chained 24 hours a day, never left off the chain. When I did some work with our Humane Society here in Trempealeau County, there were always complaints coming to the sheriff, to local jurisdictions, to the Humane Society about animals that are kept tied up all the time. And she and another woman from Trempealeau County are hoping that we can look through this and have a discussion about maybe is this something we might want to consider in Trempealeau County. I mean, I've seen if you're going to have a dog tied up 24/7, why have a dog on a chain? We don't need to make any decision today, and I've given it to the people. I don't even know if this is the right world to bring it to, but I promised her I would get it to us somehow, so I thought I'd start here. and Reed has a copy. Okay, so maybe the people in Reed's world with Rob can look it over and decide, is this something is this the right place to bring? I don't know, so.
Then we could probably put this on the agenda for next month and make a decision.
So that people have a chance to look at it, and Rob's not there, but
I'm back.
I'll make sure you have a copy of this, and maybe you can scan it in. I mean, she did a lot of work putting this together, and email it to everybody on the committee, because I know the people that are remote don't have it, so.
Yeah, definitely. I can get that out to everybody.
Okay, thanks. And if we need to have her come and explain, the things that they've seen, and, I've seen and heard too, and there's just, feel like there's something we should do, but don't know where to start, so I thought we'd start here.
Thank you. Then we're on our monthly PTED mission statement. Anything to add for this month?
Actually, I think you weren't here last month, but I thought, this is not something that we can email each other back and forth, and that now that maybe we could sit outside, you, me, and Jean, and
I think Buzz is on the
Buzz
subcommittee too.
where it's, I don't have to worry, or none of us have to worry, we can kind of put this together.
That's fine.
Okay,
Take a look at the subcommittee can take a look at calendars
Sure.
and maybe work something out.
sure.
You got here in April?
Yeah.
Yep.
Buzz, are you willing to meet outside somewhere?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We'll come and sit on your deck and look across the hills.
Perfect. I will gladly offer that up.
Petric Park hunting discussion and possible action.
Yep, I'll take this one. I've been approached by a few of the landowners that border Petric Park, and they just wanted me to bring it up to the committee that they're concerned about the hunting that's been going on there. There's been some trespassing issues, and they just wanted me to bring it back up into the committee just so we can have some discussion on the current policy there right now. As of right now, it sits where the east side is open to hunting with written permission of the park manager. So I have not given any permission or anything, have written anything up since I've been here at least. And so people obviously are hunting over there. And I think they were just more or less looking for clarification on what the exact ordinance is. I sent an email out to Corp Council, and I'm still waiting to hear back the exact verbiage on it. But that's why I have this item on the agenda here. So if the committee has any thoughts of whether they'd like to keep it that way or change it up, I have also heard some people say that they would like to see the entire park open to hunting. So
We had this discussion years ago.
I figured that, yeah.
And when Ryan Radke was the Corp Counsel, he was totally against hunting at the park. It's dangerous. People are there. The park, even when it's not open, people bring their dogs and walk through there. And, I didn't even realize that you could get permission to hunt on one side of the park. I mean, there's no hunting on any state parks went through this 5 or 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
There was a cut and dried decision. I mean, he told us we couldn't have it.
Right.
The only thing we could have was under ice trapping to control some of the animals in there.
Right.
And that was by, the trapper had to come in and, write a plan basically, and only so many could go in there, but that's all. I mean, he outlawed, firearms, even bow hunting in there.
Right. I mean, we had beaver problems, which is why.
Beavers and muskrats from
Right.
undermining.
Right. But there was Ryan was absolutely no hunting.
Okay. So that there's just no hunting at all.
No hunting at all.
Okay.
in there.
It's too dangerous.
And see, a lot of it, what's obviously have not been aware of the people have been going on the other side. I mean, I
It
can't.
should be on file here.
Okay. I think some people are coming in on kayaks, canoes from the landing, or they're just crossing right at the beach there. And if you don't see them go across, you don't even know they're in there. So
You said east side is.
Reed, this is Jean.
that's east of the river, correct?
Your house is the ones complaining about
I was told not to say a name,
Jean
but.
has comment.
Sure.
Reed, would it be possible for you to pull that information out of the ordinances and send it to all of us? And then after Rick Niemeyer gets done looking at it, there could be some sort of a campaign that could be maybe a letter sent to the hunting groups just to let them know, and also somehow maybe on the WTCO that information can get out to the public as well to update people.
Sure, I can certainly do that. No problem at all.
I was going to suggest too, if somebody's trespassing, if they be on my property, I guess I would call the authorities and report the trespasser. I don't think that's up to the county to
Right.
deal with trespassers. But the other thing is, once we find out, for sure that there's absolutely no hunting, it needs to be publicized, not just on the website, but in the paper. I know a lot of folks read the Winona Post, so the word gets out there that there is no hunting, if indeed that's what it is.
That wasn't just.
Do we have signage up at the park
Like the healthcare land
regarding
and stuff like that.
what is permissible and isn't permissible for hunting?
Oh, really?
Say that again, Buzz?
But it should be clearly signed at the park
Right.
regarding hunting as, I know we can't have staff there 24/7, especially during the hunting season, but really get some signage up that clearly lets those folks know if people are coming in to hunt. Bob, you've got a better handle on this than anybody. Are you getting any comments locally?
No, actually.
Don't forget to turn on your mic because they can't hear out in the public.
No, everybody had thought the park was closed, for hunting anyway. Like I said earlier, it was just people could trap under ice trapping to control some of the, like beavers and muskrats from erosion problems and stuff like that. But yeah, it was basically, not only Petric Park, but also any county-owned property that you could not discharge a firearm on.
Looks like we should revisit this next month when we have all the latest, greatest updated information.
That sounds good.
Park shelter closing times and fee discussion and some possible action.
Sure, you bet. Let's see. I'm gonna go up to the computer up here and show some pictures if the committee doesn't mind.
While Rita's doing that, someone that's listening in had sent me a text saying Trempealeau County has a dog ordinance, that we might want to look at that.
People are listening, that's good.
Some of you have been made aware, I'm not sure if everybody has. Can everybody hear me or should I be behind a microphone of some kind?
I think you need to be by a microphone.
We can hear
We can hear you, but the people in the outside world can't.
You want me to do that?
That would be great, man.
Tell me what to do.
Sure. So, kind of what triggered this agenda item was, I opened up the class shelter the last weekend of March just for an event that a group requested because that was the only time that would really work for them. So I came there, on Monday, and as you can see here, there was quite a bit of damage left behind. If you want to just kind of scroll through, I've got probably 10 to 12 pictures here, and you can get an idea of the mess that was left behind. And we're wondering about just any types of ideas or thoughts from the committee on how we can try to prevent this type of thing from happening in the future.
What was that? That was in the middle of, in the first picture, it looked like stones or
stones.
It's just garbage?
Yeah, it was a big giant pile of garbage.
That was just a pile of garbage that was attempted to be at least confined into one place. Now the outside was cleaned up pretty well. I did not have a dumpster there at the time. There was no water. So basically it was discussed to just kind of leave the bags and then we would deal with it later on. But this obviously got to be a little bit more of an issue.
And what was on that table, that messy looking table? They looked the two together, that was the table? No?
It's just a combination of, there was clothing there was leftover food, different plates, cups, obviously a lot of glassware, somewhat attempted garbage put in bags on the ground.
That one.
Oh, sorry.
What did you charge for security deposit?
We do $200.
What's on there?
What's on there? It looks to,
Well, other than beer.
That's just the table.
That's
That's just the table.
there's just, some soda cans there
Oh, the
in the
tables
upper
that
left there.
looks- Okay. All right.
If there's not a dumpster
There's a
there,
lot more. This is the bad part
oh
here.
God.
This is the big part of the shelter, and I counted 34 snow shovel scoops into a dumpster of garbage I pulled out of the shelter. So it was pretty significant. You could see everything you see on the ground. There's broken glass.
I take it they didn't get their $200
They did not
back.
get their $200 deposit back, no. And I pulled all the picnic tables out of the shelter because you couldn't put anything on there because you put something down, you couldn't even pick it back up.
So
Lots of cleaning that needs to happen, but
This is Jean.
yes.
I've been on the committee for quite a while, and we've gone back and forth about prices and whatever, and it just seems, unfortunately, people continue to make things bad for others. So, $200 needs to go up, if not even 1,000. I mean, that sounds probably too much, and it might need to be a catch something, because this continues to happen. And all the hard work that the people do, the donations that the people do, the volunteers, we work really hard so people could come and have a good time. And, what did you say, 34 things, the time that you're spent doing that, regardless if there's a dumpster or not there, that's ridiculous behavior. Now, have we put cameras out
A
yet?
few more.
We've had cameras in the past and they get stolen.
That's just broken glass in the yard
I
and
think,
everything.
I kind of agree with Jean, a higher deposit, and I think that we should have some of these photographs in a little article in the papers, that this is what is happening to a very precious place in Trempealeau County that makes it unusable for other people. And if there's not going to be a dumpster there, it should be really clear, like when you go camping, what you bring in, you take out. You
Right.
just don't leave your crap behind for somebody else to clean up. It's pathetic, and this has happened time and time again.
Right, and this year, for the first time, we approved an agreement with Rick. I think the committee approved it, would have been last fall, I believe. And it required to have a credit card down. So, because there was, after discussing with some other people that have been interested in renting the park, if you up the security deposit too much, they'd say, well, we wouldn't go there either. So there comes a point where it's going to be too much for anybody to want to rent at all. So we had this credit card on file, and so had there been damage, we could have, a broken window of some kind or anything, we could have taken from that. But as far as I don't know how high you'd want to bring that security deposit up, or I was having a discussion with Bob, maybe for how many hours of time it takes to clean up, you times that by a certain dollar amount, and that's what we charge. I'm open to all ideas that the committee has.
Well, even if you had a hefty amount, you could,
Right.
Some places hold your check and don't cash it. And if you leave a mess like this, $500, $600, I just don't understand how people can do this. They should never be allowed to use the park again. I mean, we should have a list if people can't, if
Right.
people cannot take care of this beautiful place, they should not be allowed to ever use it again.
I'm sure Joe has some insight on this with the city, you know.
Well, the Lions Club rents the pavilion out, and the city rents all the others, and there's a hefty deposit. And
What
if,
is it?
I'd have to check with Angela, but it's a hefty deposit to rent the shelters. I want to say it's like $400 or $500.
I think the town of Arcadia, I mean, I haven't touched base with them for quite a long time, but if you leave a mess, you're blacklisted, and they do require you to be a resident of the town, and you have to have your driver's license, you know, a copy of that, and I don't know, you know, I'd have to check what the deposit is, but they increase their deposit, and if you make more of a mess, you get billed for it.
We can certainly, you know, implement that for sure.
Have
Yeah.
you decided to ban glass from the park altogether?
It has been.
Yeah. Is there signage up?
It's in the park rules.
Yep, it's in the park rules that are attached to the agreement, and, you know, and that's obviously another problem. There's, you know, walking around the yard there, it's too bad, you know, that you try to get all the glass you can out of the grass, but you can't really get it all, you know, and people are having their pets out there and whatnot, and, you know, and I came Sunday morning just to check on it, and there were, you know, the park was only temporarily open, but there was a lot of people from the public there that were there just to walk around, and unfortunately I saw them, you know, stepping over garbage and whatnot. So if we can, whatever we can do to minimize this, and that's the only reason on the agenda that I put maybe a time change, because I heard after the weekend as well that there was music going awfully late and lights and noise and everything past midnight, and then they were supposed to be out by midnight, and Sunday morning at about 11:30 they were still there, obviously with the mess. And
Well, do we need some direct supervision during these, and they gotta pay for that? It looks like obviously it was alcohol induced, there's most of it, and we got some choices to make here. How do we keep it usable? But obviously, this is pretty dang unacceptable. And does this require ordinance change, or just can the committee make rules, or what's the gig here to preclude something like this?
Buzz, I was thinking the same thing. Way back in the day, when I was much younger, if you went to a dance, there was a dance supervisor or a bouncer or something that was there during the entire thing of the dance. Maybe we need to have the renter hire their own, or, well, I mean, we would provide it, but they would have to pay for, you know, if they rent it for 5 hours, they've got to pay 5 hours for somebody we hire to be the constable, is, I think, what some of that duty was.
Reed, I guess, do you think hours would make a difference? Say you gotta be out there by 10?
that's what I was kind of thinking. I would assume that the majority of this, well, here's the thing though, is a lot of people make a mess, but then if they actually shut down when they're supposed to and clean up, you know, if you combine 10, 15 people that are cleaning up that mess, it wouldn't take that long. But yeah, I would assume that the more, you know, for lack of better words, wild activity happens probably the later into the evening you get, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was more concerned about even making the mess. I mean, that's pretty, absolutely no regard for public property, right? So, you know, I think we got to think this through a little bit. I'd save those pictures pretty dang well, and I mean that just ruins it for everybody. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at here. We want to keep the park usable, but if there's no glass, there's no glass. You know, Becky. I'll shut up.
Becky's got a comment.
So I think Reed is more or less leaning towards with the hours. The park was created, these shelters were created for youth events, not for parties to go throughout the night, festivals or whatever is being created here. This itself was from a baptism. I don't know about you, but any baptisms I've ever gone to, we've been done and by 6 o'clock at night. So if we're gonna have these events, maybe they should be shut off at a certain time. We have campers there. If they have children, they shouldn't be fearful of having to worry about somebody being completely intoxicating coming into the campground. So maybe any event held there does need to be out by 10 o'clock. Maybe everything shut off by 8 or out by 8 o'clock. Maybe that's something we should look into.
I will double check with the town of Arcadia, but I believe that you can only rent for 3 hours in the afternoon, like from 1 until 4, 5, something like that. Maybe we need to even say your party is done at 6 p.m.
I can't imagine that was a baptism.
Yes, that is a baptism, because there have been many baptisms like that in the Arcadia area.
Well, and then what also scares me is if people are consuming this much alcohol, then they pull out on 93 and they're driving intoxicated. So dangerous.
Bob and Michelle have some comments.
I just kind of like with this type of, whatever, they should be blacklisted, this particular one. If that ever happens, they should be blacklisted, I believe. And I was going to say something, with the glass. You got glass outside, you got little kids running around. This is a park, you go barefooted. You know, it's just, the park is free, it's fun, it's all that. And you get somebody cutting their foot or something, we may be reliable, or are they reliable, or is that in the contract, that the person who rents? Well, I don't know how, that's another thing to think about. Okay, thank you.
What liability do you have if someone gets hurt? Yeah.
I think all that is under the county insurance, I believe, after talking with Rick. Yeah, I think it's covered. We have liability insurance out there because we can't help, even if there's not a party, we can't help it if somebody falls off the playground the wrong way or something like that, you know, but,
I guess the way I looked at it, I had a little discussion with Reed about this. I says, well, we have a blacklist like they had years ago, but you have a lot of multiple family dwellings in the county here. You don't go by the name, you go by the address. The other thing is that's why we took a credit card, because this isn't part of the deposit. This is vandalism. There should be no fine involved. I mentioned to a Reed, I said maybe get a hold of some of the local motels around here and see what they use. I mean, I grew up in a time when things were pretty rough, when we used to go to Madison for wrestling and basketball and stuff like that. And there was usually a call to the school and stuff like that. So if you would, go with that and you put that on top of the security deposit on that credit card bill, it's going to spread through the community first pretty fast that Trempealeau County is nobody to monkey with.
Hey, I like when you said vandalism. Maybe this could be referred to the DA's office or the sheriff's department for some sort of citation.
No citations. I mean, it's not a citation because it's not littering. And it's not public damage, but it's just leaving a mess. But like I said, every motel goes through the same thing. And that's why you can pay for a motel room with cash, but you still have to have proof for have a credit card on file. And then the third thing is if we, like I mentioned to you, an easy way to figure a rate on this was very simple. I says you take whichever your employees are times 3. Otherwise, you use the same thing as a contractor would use, roughly $100 an hour plus supplies. So, you get this in writing before the start of this season, it's going to spread pretty fast.
You bet. And I like that idea, Bob, of the having like a set hourly, however long it takes to clean and get everything back to normal, because I was talking with other staff upstairs, showing them pictures and whatnot, and we kind of came to the agreement, like, it can't just be up to the discretion of, there has to be actual set rules. Like if you get a speeding ticket, if you're 10 to 15 over, it's a certain number of fine. If you're 15 or more over, it's another fine. I mean, I don't know exactly what it would be, but basically you can't just have a discretionary thing every time a situation like this arises, because somebody could say, well, you know, I was charged $250 for half the mess of this person, you know, just because I had a bad day or whatever. But, you know, so that's why I like Bob's idea of have a set hourly time, however long it takes to clean it up, and then that's what we pull off the credit card, maybe on top of the security deposit.
Because, you know, just by looking at this mess, you're gonna have to get out the elbow grease, a mop, and a few bottles of bleach.
That's right.
But as, you know, like Becky said, set hours, could use the same thing that's a countywide or statewide ordinance. No different than going to a winery. 9 o'clock is the cutoff time.
Becky?
Virgin just brought down to me the town hall rental agreement for the town of Arcadia, and it says in here specifically, aside from being the renter must be part of the township, and then they must have a valid driver's license upon renting. It also states that the renter must vacate the property no later than 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 7 p.m. Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
So it's even less.
I like those hours.
Yeah, during the weekend. And obviously, they're still making their rentals.
Yeah.
It looks like their security deposit is $300. So,
I'll just chime in too, you know, Chris put a little message up on our Zoom meeting here. Have you checked with Jackson County or La Crosse County on what their policies are? You know, they've rented out facilities for many years, so, you know, maybe looking into what their policies would be helpful too, because we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel.
That's something I'll definitely look into.
Well, moving forward, I'd like to make a motion that we up our security deposit to $500, plus we charge $100 per hour and supplies if we have to go in there and clean it up. And they have to have a credit card to rent it, along with their driver's license.
Is
You
there?
have an amendment to that, one more thing then? Is this appropriate time?
Why don't you second the motion, and then we can take a look at the amendment, unless you want to suggest to Joe to add on something.
Okay, Joe, would you consider suggesting some time that people have to be out of there by?
Oh, yeah, we'll add the time, a closing time of, we'll be generous, 8 PM on the weekends.
Why don't we just make it, would you, listen, all week, 8 PM then?
Yeah, all week, 8 PM.
Okay,
Then do you want to second that motion?
I'll second it. Sorry.
Okay, so let me repeat what I think the motion is. Motion by Feltus and second by Sorgi to increase the security deposit to $500, have a cleanup fee of $100 per hour. You must have a credit card on file and a driver's license on file, and your closing time would be 8 PM.
Plus supplies for cleanup.
Plus the supplies for cleanup. Did I miss anything else?
No.
Any discussion on that motion? Michelle?
Would it be stated that it would be a Trumpealeau County resident? Would that, or is that already included prior to this motion?
I don't think I would include that, just because we have a lot of people come back for their family reunions that
Okay.
call from other areas that rent us to have grown up around here.
Right, lots of people from Minnesota come over.
Okay.
And also, just a quick question, would that $100 be, would we use up the security deposit first, Joe? Is that what you're thinking? Or you just take it all and then it's on top of that?
That's on
Okay,
top
all
of
right.
it. That's on top of it.
If they leave it a giant mess and you have to clean up, yeah, that's what they have to pay.
Okay,
And when they lease it, I'd have those pictures to show them that this is why we're charging what we're charging.
right. Now, that brings to mind another question. I would say 90% of the Saturdays for this season are already full, already booked. So
Have they
some
signed
have paid,
contracts?
some have not. Some have put down security deposits, some have brought in the agreement, some have showed credit cards, some have not. It's more or less September's open, and there's, I think, a weekend in May that's open yet.
I would think if they have a signed agreement they would have to be grandfathered in. But if it's not signed,
Be from this.
Can't we
day
just
forward.
say because of
Can't really
this
go
event, where there's been a
retroactively.
policy change within the Trempealeau County park systems, and if you want to continue the usage of the park, you have to abide by these new policies, and please provide the updated secure. I don't want to see Reed in this mess, for
Right.
any more weekends this summer. And it'd be nice if we could have somebody show up out there at closing time to kind of make sure they're gone and it's cleaned up, or they're gone at least at 8 o'clock.
Dan had a comment, I didn't hear what you said.
I don't think it would be realistic to backdate this change. I would be in favor of, from this date forward, this motion would be in effect, but I would have to vote against it if we're gonna do it retroactively. How many people have signed up and you have to have personnel call them to tell them, oh, you owe us some more money? I would feel uncomfortable with that.
Becky?
Well, I was thinking maybe we wouldn't, if the only backdating part of it, maybe just the hours to prevent the long night binge going on and prevent the issues with the campground for the parties that are on the weekends during our busier season. Maybe we can send a letter to all people who are renting and just state that you're grandfathered in for the price, but you do have to abide by these new hours and you cannot go past 8 o'clock.
That might be something you'd have to check with Rick about, because if you've already signed an agreement, I don't know if you can change legally the rules to your agreement if it's already signed.
I have a question.
There might be a lot of questions in regard to this, so we don't have to explain it and run a babysitting service. I think I would suggest having a plaque, say 18 inches, 20 inches square with all them pictures on there, and have that hanging on the wall in that shelter. This is why we changed our rules. And just put them pictures on them, photographs.
Yep, we can do that.
Michelle?
I like the motion a lot, except maybe the hours. Now, my question is, are the hours just for people who rent the shelter or campers, or that's my first question.
Just shelter renters.
Just the shelter.
Well,
for
then
these.
8 o'clock is fine. When are you closing the park then? Still 11 or 10?
I think the park's open till 11.
The park's open till 11. Oh, on a nightly basis, yes. Yep, the park is open till
Campers.
11 for campers.
Okay. My question's clear. Thank
The
you.
campers don't leave a mess like this. No, right?
I have not experienced it, no. There might be the odd bottle, which is whatever, but.
Even during, why am I blanking on?
Ashley for the arts?
Ashley for the arts, the park's not a mess.
No, I know, I've only done the one actually for the arts, because obviously with COVID it was canceled last year, but there was maybe a half a dozen pieces of garbage I had to pick up, and it just blew in from somewhere, or maybe the parking lot even, the neighbors
Right,
there, so.
Right.
Yeah, there hasn't been any issues at all.
Becky?
The only other concern I had for time frame would be for the few weddings that we do get out there. I know that we will probably be asked about that time frame, and I don't know if it's able to be a discretion of the park manager to allow a little bit later time when it is a certain type of event that we can verify. Or, and in those cases, maybe they would have to pay for, like somebody had suggested earlier, pretty much a bouncer. Or if we should just be very, very strict, and even if you have a wedding out there, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I have a problem with varying the hours, I mean, most weddings, they start early, you have dinner, and then it's just, I don't know. I think we should stick with the hours.
Not so much anymore. They don't start so early anymore. When I got married, it was 11 o'clock, probably. It was always morning. But now it's 4 o'clock they're getting married. Oh, sorry.
All good comments.
I'm with Jeannie on this. Our hours are set. We're not going very, we're not gonna vary, if you're having a wedding, it's 8 o'clock.
Well,
regardless of what's going on.
what's the difference? I could say I'm having a baptism, I could say I'm having a wedding, you know. Yeah, we need to be consistent, I think. Any other comments? Jean, Rob, Buzz?
I'm good. I got my 2 cents in early.
Beth,
No,
will you just reread the motion?
Becky, could you read the motion back?
Oh, I'm sorry, Becky.
Sure. Okay, so it would be to increase the security deposit to 500, to implement a $100 per hour for cleaning and then additional cost for supplies. You have to have a credit card on file, a valid driver's license, and closing time will be 8 p.m. And that's for every night of the week.
I do have one question. How many weddings in the past have we had, like, in a year?
I've seen 5 or 6 on some of the busier years.
Okay.
They like to use that lookout area.
Yes. And there isn't very many places to have weddings. I was just wondering. Okay.
What do we charge to rent that?
Right now, it's $225 for the fee, and then it's $200 security deposit. And we do require a credit card at this time as well. This is the first year we've done that. Did anybody hear that okay? My microphone wasn't on. For those that didn't hear it, it's $225 for the fee to rent the shelter, and then it's $200 for the security deposit. And we do have a credit card on file, and this is the first year we've been implementing that. So,
Any other comments? Then we're ready to vote on the motion, which Becky just restated. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like we have some new park rules. Then we're on number 17, the Trempealeau lots electrical installation discussion. Carry over from last month.
yes, I suppose I can just keep standing up here. I don't have a map or anything of the Trempealeau lots down there, but there's a lot of interest in people leasing out the lots down there in the village for the season, and obviously I'm receiving more phone calls now. I probably have 4 or 5 people that are interested. 2 or 3 that said if we had electricity down there, they would rent it for sure. And so it's about $3.90 per foot to put in electricity, and then we have to pay an electrician to put in a pedestal at each one of these lots. So you're looking at just the electrical cost, which is going to be from the village itself. I'm going to say we have around 200 to 215 feet, so you're looking at around $1,000 just to get the electric put in. And then on top of that, we would need to do, get some pricing and quotes on installation of pedestals from some local electricians. So I feel like in the first summer, if we get renters, it would pay for this in no time, and I think you'd get consistent renting from there on out. And we have the opportunity to put this in I think 16 different lots down there, but I'm just proposing to do it 3 this year.
Where are they?
They are, can I show you on a map real quick? They're right down in the village of Trempealeau.
You want me to pull it?
If you could pull it.
Excuse
Yeah,
me,
if
I
Ann-
have to go to work, so I
Okay.
will have to leave. So next meeting, just put it in my email.
Sure.
The first Tuesday of the month.
Yeah. Just to
Thanks,
confirm,
Michelle.
put it in my email. Sorry about that.
It would be May 4th.
Rob, did you get my message? My email?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Don't
Naughty,
forget
naughty.
to vote.
Oh, that's right.
Thanks, Michelle.
Don't forget to vote.
Oh, I know, I heard that on the news, thank God. Bye-bye.
Bye.
When it goes blue like that, that's how you do it. Would you like me to dim the lights again so you can see where these are located?
It's a good thing we have Ann here who knows how to operate the mapping system.
You are. If we can take off the... This is down by the 4 lakes, like Lake Road down there. It'd be more southeast of there.
So we're in the floodplain.
We are, yes. I've met with the village multiple times. I talked to Roxroy about 3 weeks ago, I think, and because some people were interested in putting some gravel pads in, but then something called an H&H study would need to be done. So then I had talked to Dan about that, seeing if there had been any, maybe that had already happened in the past and it had not, and if you keep going southeast, out to northwest. Okay, right here. This lot here. This lot.
Okay. You're 200, right?
So I don't know if it's up on the screen or not for people to see. Could we make it a little bit bigger by chance in here for the committee? I'm hoping that the IT folks are listening.
They're listening because sometimes they turn on my mic when I forget. So what
There we go.
Did you say it was $1,000 for how many?
Well, the $1,000 would be for around 200 to 215 feet. It's $3.90 per foot. And they just more or less put it underground and then have it come up right to a pedestal, which is put in by an electrician.
Right.
And there wouldn't be water or anything, but people just like to have electricity for running air conditioning units in their RVs and whatnot. So I think Ann has it up here. I don't know if it can come up on the.
Can you get it?
Well, we have 16 lots. I would need to look back at the agreement exactly. I think you can put a few campers per lot. Now, we can't classify as a campground because we don't have a dump station, but we're leasing them out as recreational lots.
And depending on the weather, some of those lots flood, so, because it's in a floodplain.
Right.
But you could have 16 rental lots.
We could, yes. And some, I would say, would be pretty unattractive to people. There's standing water in them now, and there's a lot of vegetation and trees, but, we could certainly clean those areas up. But Ann has it pulled up here right where it's the intersection of Lake Road and Birch Lane. I wish I had a laser pointer. I think there is one here. I believe.
Is that the area near the old swamp bar?
Yes,
It is.
it's exactly that area.
So this is one of our county lots here. We could put electricity in there. That's a nice dry, well, when it's not flooding, it's a nice dry area there. You could definitely fit. You could probably divide that up even 2 or 3 more lots. I mean, this is a large area. You're probably talking, I don't know, 200 by 150, I'm guessing. And then if you go down a little bit lower end, if you could just bring the map up as a whole, there we go. There's a lot right here, and then another one right here. And there's this top one, there's a power pole right there that would come from that one, and then there's a power pole right next to this rental building here, and that could be brought to these 2 sites here. And then this is more potential in the future in the back here. This is a road that comes through, and we could definitely put it back here. But I'd like for this year, if I get committee approval, to put it in this site up top and then these 2 right here. I know it's kind of difficult to see on the map, but.
So that's gonna give you a total of what, 6?
Well, as of right now, the way the map is being advertised to the public, it's only 3. But this one here could certainly be divided up, and then I haven't even thought about this one up here. This is another one that could be divided up as well. Now, these places around here they're all being maintained by the neighbors down here. So they look real nice and shiny now, and, manicured, mowed grass, trees trimmed up and everything. So that'd be something we'd have to definitely look into if these places are leased out. Will the neighbors continue to do that, or is that going to be the responsibility of the renter? Or actually, it is the responsibility of the renter because we don't have the means to do it ourselves. So that's more what I'm looking to have the committee take a look at is around $1,000, and I do not know what the price of putting in a pedestal would be, and then having it connected from electrician.
Why don't you get a price on the due?
Total?
Yeah.
Yeah. To bore it under and your pedestals for at least 6 units down there.
6 places down there? Okay. Would you have the interest in dividing those up? Like the large ones, or just keep them?
No, you could divide them.
Okay.
However you get more revenue.
Sure. Yep.
I was going to say, instead of only 3, at least 4, but 6 sounds okay. Because as long as you're doing it, you might as well do it instead of doing 3 this year and 3 next year, as long as you're there. Would it be 50 amp? Just no question on that, because we just bought a new camper that's a 50 amp. So then that restricts you from where you're gonna go.
I guess that's something I hadn't thought about. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I hadn't thought about it either
Yeah.
until after the purchase.
Well, I'll definitely have this information for you at the next committee meeting.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea, myself.
Me too. We've been talking about those lots for quite a while.
At least 3 years. Anyone else have any suggestions, questions? Then we're on number 18th, looking ahead to the Petric Park 50th anniversary event.
Yeah, so this is something, again, Reed and I are going to be working on together, because though it is a park event, it certainly will be we're hoping to have it be a major tourism event as well. But really the only new development for right now is hammering down a date. And I believe, some of our discussions basically was looking at doing it in September was our thought of 2022. Just remind everyone, next year is the 50th anniversary of the park. And I think my thought was one of the last 2 weekends of September. The weather is still good in general, and it gets us past interfering with other major events. The only or the biggest event in September in terms of festivals and such is Blair Cheese Fest. I believe that's usually, is it the second or first weekend of the month? Oh gosh, the screen's doing something crazy. But anyway, yeah. So I think as of right now, we're just looking to maybe hammer down a date, and I don't know if people had opinions. So either the second to last Saturday of September in 2022 is the 17th, and the last one is the 24th. So I don't know if people have a preference or thoughts or that sort of thing. But I think to just even to get the event planned and going, we need to just hammer out a date, and then we go from there. Just opening up to thoughts.
I like the last Saturday in September. Because then, colors aren't really changing then, but that seems to be like really kind of my favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
Just
yeah, I think it, like I said, I just didn't want to interfere with any other festivals or events. So.
Yeah, Blair Cheese Fest is the last festival in Trempealeau County, so.
Second to last.
It is? What's the last?
Apple Affair.
Oh, that's right. Apple Affair is
That's
the next
cool.
weekend then. It's like the first weekend in October.
Always the first Saturday of October, yeah.
So
Yes,
maybe
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said the last. That's true. Being a Galesvillian, I'll probably get a letter from the chamber. Well, then, let's shoot for September 24th of 2022, being the day we do the event. People are down with it. I don't think we need a motion or anything, but just wanted to throw it out to you guys. It'll be something that Reed and I continually work on in the months ahead.
Do you think that's too close to Apple Affair?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
I think it's the weekend before. I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
other
is.
people have thoughts on that.
Bob?
You're just gonna have to set a date because you're never gonna please everybody. I mean,
Yes.
as long as you stay away from Cheese Fest, you don't wanna deprive that, and then we're not gonna have it for Apple Fest. So I says, pick a date, have it, because you're not gonna please everybody.
Yep, so I'm good with the 24th.
Cheese Fest
All right.
is always the third weekend in September. So the 24th, is that the third
Yeah,
weekend?
no, the 24th is the last. So that's great. There'll be Cheese Fest, there'll be R Fest, and then there'll be Apple Fest. 3 great events back to back.
Boom.
Like it.
All right, we'll go with the last Saturday of September in 2022.
Is it possible to get some signage up? Just, watch for our 50th. We've got 3 big events coming to Petric Park before the end of June. The first one is Olson Malashevsky is gonna have a hike out there for leukemia, May 1st. Dairy Days is at our neighbors by Ed Malashevsky's. That's the second weekend in June. And it's either the 3rd or 4th weekend in June, the Trappers have got a rendezvous at Petric Park.
Oh.
So, we got 3 big things going on right there. If we had at least some posters on, on the side of the building or whatever, hey, watch for our 50th anniversary.
Good idea.
So dairy breakfast is at Malashevsky's?
At Ed Malashevsky's.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's the 12th
Yeah, it's usually,
of June.
Yeah, it's usually that second.
But Ed is
weekend.
hosting it.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I think we could get something nice put together that's just kind of general, because we don't have the details right now, and I think you probably can print us off something nice and big, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
She agreed.
We can get that laminated and put up, and yeah, definitely.
Are we still having the grade school kids do the, okay.
Yep, that Reed's kind of spearheading that, but they're gonna still have the logo contest and all
Okay.
that.
All right, that'll be fun too. Okay.
Let's move on to the Petric Park website launch. When I was here a while ago, I know they were working on that. I'm excited.
Okay, so here is once we can get it on the big screen here. I've been working with Becky quite a bit with Civic Rental. It's Ameriscan is the name of the company we're going with. And there's a few glitches here and there that need to be worked out and minor things. But in the meantime, we've been working on building this website. So if we can get it on the big screen up there, people can see it a little bit better. Basically, we have kind of a description at the top of the homepage here. And it's a welcome message, and then there's another section underneath that describes how we can start booking shelters, camping, and actually for the Arts Festival campsites online. And then we're going to go solely to the credit card system. So this is going to kind of piggyback off of our conversation about the payments and whatnot for the shelter reservations. But as of right now, we have, I don't know if you can see it up there that well or not, it's in the upper left. There's 5 different options to choose. They are, it's just these big things here. Yeah. Basically, we have Ashley for the Arts camping, we have just the regular campground, we've got the Donald Kloss shelter. Actually, if you could just go to the campground one, that would be the best. And then we have the horse arena on there, and then the lower shelter. So let's say, for example, you just wanted to, rent a campground, reserve a campsite for 4th of July weekend. Now you would just come into here. There's pictures of each site on there, and then you can just scroll through the months and then click on a certain day, and it'll say it's available, it's not available. And then there's a slight description. If you click on details there, it should say somewhere in there, there's a description in the site there somewhere. These are the minor glitches we're still trying to work out before we launch it here in a couple of weeks. But basically it says, is it close to the bathrooms? Is it far from the bathrooms? Does it get, afternoon sun, morning sun? Is it electric and water, just electric, or is it rustic? There, it kind of says it right up there in the upper left under the site, right there. A little description there. And obviously we're going to update the pictures on each one of these sites as it gets, green outside. Right now they're just pictures from last week or a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So we're pretty excited about this. This is going to save an awful lot of time as far as going in and manually entering in all these reservations. It should hopefully, in theory, get rid of the human error on double booking. As far as the Ashley for the Arts that happens at New Year's Eve every year. It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens with that, but we're planning on just having it be everybody just goes online and you try to, if you get the site, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's kind of going to be almost like, I think I compared it to, going and buying concert tickets. As soon as they come on sale at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, a lot of times you get a lot of people kind of competing for the better areas. So
Hopefully it doesn't crash the website.
I was wondering that.
Everybody
Yeah.
To reserve that week.
Right. So this will be really good. So everything will be done via credit card.
Okay,
And so there'll be, I'm assuming from Becky's perspective or standpoint, that's going to be pretty nice, not dealing with all the cash and checks and everything coming in. Plus we can just refund right back to the credit card. Oh, it's going to be great.
Is there a way of putting these events on that website? Say like the Trappers, for instance. I mean, when it is, if we put that on our Petric Park website, like the Trappers are having something, or say there's a gymkhana or a rodeo out there, something like that, to, they're going to it to see what's going on, but also show interest in, maybe I can stay overnight there.
Right. I don't know if on this particular, I know there's a section called
There's an
Quick
events-
Links.
We have an events place on the website, but it might be hard to put it on the reserving the campground site.
Right. There is a place called, I mean, you can click on community. I'm still learning. Okay. I'm still learning on all of this as well. Oh, it says I need to log in there. Then you can access everything. But, yeah. We can certainly see what we can put on there. I know there's sections for you to put updates and links and whatnot, but I think the majority of the advertising will probably still be done on the website and Facebook. But hey, if we can put it on here as well, I'll put it on all three.
If you can, have a link to the county website, which has a huge calendar of all the events
For
happening
sure.
all over the county, so you don't have to go back and forth.
There you go. There's that quick link section right there. We can
Okay.
certainly add that under there. Yeah, on the right side. I don't have anything in there yet
Okay.
because I was more or less looking for ideas. This is really good.
Yep.
What I can put in there. Maybe fishing locations or places to eat or
Bike trail,
links to wherever. So
I'd even put the dairy breakfast in there.
you bet.
I
Absolutely.
bet it's probably already on the event calendar.
So that was just a quick overview of the.
What?
Just when I've got the ordinances, it's very vague what you got in here, it's terrible. This should be rewritten.
Okay, well, we're not on that anymore.
A suggestion, about crashing after Ashley for the Arts this year. Maybe we can, the committee members can do a test and all try and register at, not 12 o'clock at night, but, like X time in the day, and all try and book sites, and book multiple sites or whatever.
Right.
And, see if it will handle it, because, I would hate for, January, or December 31st to click over to January 1st for it to go down, and now we got a big mess, people can't. we could-
Oh, yeah, I can imagine the phone calls that would be coming in,
Yeah.
and
It might not be so bad, because it's not gonna be like 1,000 people, is it?
No, but, I mean, they
typically-
call it every, like,
Right.
3 seconds. so-
typically 150 people, that's people that get through in the first 10 minutes. That's,
Yeah.
the call number is probably triple that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do a test run.
That's
The
very
committee
smart.
members could do that,
You bet.
It's already all booked for this year, correct?
Right, I
It
said
is.
after this year's actually for the arts, because you can't book until,
But you can still
January
try,
2022.
you can still try any random day, anywhere. You can just try,
yeah,
August 1st. Just everybody try to reserve that, on that one time.
Who does tech support for this?
We've been working with,
Crash?
I don't know,
I know that is
questions I
a
need to,
specific question I posed to them before we even started talking about it. I said, will it be able to handle hundreds of people getting on at once? They assured me that it would. So, but I do agree we should probably do some sort of testing.
that'd be wise.
anything else on the website? Do you want to revisit this next month too, or just?
It depends if you want to see it when, excuse me, if you want to see it when it's up and running. I'm hoping within the next week or two this thing is launched, so,
Well, I'll kind of circle it and we'll see.
okay.
put it up and running, read and let everybody know you got it there, and we can look at it at our own discretion.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yep. Then you want to talk about the playground at Petric Park.
Yes, this was, I brought up, I put on the agenda just to bring up the discussion. The playground it's seen better days, and it's, there's a lot of safety issues there. I was looking at it when I was, after cleaning up trash last weekend, and there's exposed metal and whatnot. And we've got parts, and we've been trying to fix it as much as possible, and it just kind of wanted to bring it to the committee that it's something I'll probably be looking into to maybe replace that playground, unless somebis against that idea.
I have an idea.
Yes.
I know that Lions clubs are very invested in doing community projects, and I know they worked with a woman from the church in Strum to do that fabulous playground that they have at Crystal Lake Park. So you know, Independence has a great, I mean, there's lots of really good, you know, that would be something good to bring all the Lions clubs together in the county to do a project like that. So you might want to.
That's a great idea, because I'm sure.
I'll give you my husband's phone number, and you can
Sure.
call him and see, because I know Independence has a really big Lions club. Trempealeau, you know, they have a big one. Strum, so.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Jeannie. So this is just something I'm going to be looking into, and probably have something, you know, brought up at the next committee meeting. Just making sure the committee was okay with this priority thing or not priority thing, but it appears that it's time to do an upgrade on the playground.
You should check out the playground at Crystal Lake Park. It is so awesome. But, you know, and there's people out there that love to do this kind of stuff.
For sure. You bet.
I guess building on Jeannie's comment, is there other foundations or groups that might be a great donation for whomever for the 50th anniversary? What a nice addition to showcase. If we could get somebody behind this year and get it in place so it's up and operational for our 50th year celebration. I know, has Ashley got a foundation, or there's got to be others in the county. I remember up here it was the local bank was dumping 50 grand projects around the communities before it got sold. So I assume this thing's going to be in that $20,000 to $50,000 range to put a safe playground up out there or more.
That the ones that I've been looking at with Becky have been in about that range. Obviously, it's, you know, you can go as small or as big as you want. We were thinking something around the same size, maybe, you know, slight upgrade, slight improvement, or bigger one. But looking at park budget and whatnot. But like you're saying, if we could get some donations of some kind, that would be wonderful.
I think that we can, you know.
Don't forget your veterans organizations.
If you're in the Lions Club, you could bring them all together to build it. It'd be fun.
Bob?
One other comment to this, you know, playground and that. I thought in my reading the newspaper articles, I thought there was a bunch of money allocated for grants for outdoor activity and outdoor recreation on the state level. And I was gonna bring that up with what Buzz had said about canoes. And I don't know, Ann or Becky, do you know if everybody used the DNR grant money for the county this year or not? I know Independence applied for some of it for Trout Stream.
I'm not sure.
But what I'm getting at is there used to be a fairly decent canoe landing at Petric Park down on the lower level. It's not there anymore. So if somebody didn't apply for that DNR grant money, and if this grant money is available for outdoor activities, put a decent canoe landing back in that lower level at the park, because that's usually that's the levelest spot in the park for bringing a canoe out of the water.
Are you referring to the Conservation Aids grant?
Yes, conservation aids
Okay,
money.
so it's utilized for 2021, so it wouldn't be available until 2022. And the next choice to be made for that would happen August we would decide, and then October it's due to the state.
Because I know, like the one at the Rod and Gun Club, the two that we built, we went according with, well, it was with Kenny Myers, in that we built one in Four Seasons Park, and the other one on Crossroads, and they were well designed by the county, you know, and then, you know, we used our money and then, you know, conservation aid money to build that, but it would be nice to see that, and maybe there's money available for these playground equipment in that fund.
Well, there is money all over the place. I just did a little Google search, and there's one called Kaboom, Environmental Education in Wisconsin, Build It Yourself Playground Grant, up to $15,000. And there's like 20 of them just in my little iPhone. So if you Google grants for playgrounds in the state of Wisconsin, I like the Kaboom one. That's environmental. That kind of ties in with the park. So there's money to be had. This is like applying for scholarships for college, which students don't do. There's a ton of
Right.
money that never gets used.
I will go after it.
Kaboom sounds like really fun. Check that one out.
I will. I'll take a look.
And you have to have it completed within 12 months of receiving the grant.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the money that we got from the
The CapEx 2020.
yeah, because that grant money had to be used within 12 months too, so.
Yeah, it would be great if there could be a new playground for that, 50th anniversary. That'd be wonderful. Because I would assume there's gonna be a lot of families and children out there that would.
Build it and they will come.
There you go.
So we get the money and get the Lions Club people to build it. It'd be great fun.
And veterans.
And veterans.
We'll kind of put Mr. Austin on this detail to assist.
You have nothing to do.
Anything else on playground?
That should be it for me, unless anybody else has any other questions or comments.
So we kind of temporarily set the next meeting date for Michelle. It'd be May 4th. First Tuesday at 8:30 here in this room. Then item number 22, Ann's going to take the lead on this. We've had some people and the committee asking how is the, what says operation of DLM while the director is on leave. And this portion, open discussion. If we need to do with some personnel issues, then we'll go into closed session. But at this point, right now, it's just Ann kind of giving the committee members an update on what she does or what's happening.
That would take all day. So I was asked to be the supervisor and the person in charge of signing timesheets and signing bills because I already have that authority and I am a department head. And I didn't know if everyone was on the same page. I didn't put this on the agenda, but I'm happy to talk on it.
No, I had asked to put it on the agenda because some of the committee members don't know who is kind of in charge.
Yeah, well, I didn't ask, I didn't beg for it, but I was asked to do it, so I am doing it. I think one of the reasons is because I am authorized, and another reason is I've been a department head for 10 years, so I have a lot of supervisory experience, and I am a department head, so I don't know if anyone has questions.
Was that a decision made by ELU committee, or who?
I think it was the ELU.
Okay.
I think
You're
it
on
was-
the ELU committee, right? I'm
Yes,
not.
I am, but I wasn't, I think just George had asked Ann.
George and Amy, HR.
Oh, okay, okay.
Speak to the.
Speak of the devil.
Wow. All we have to do is say your name and you appear.
I was watching it on my computer.
And this is Buzz. I do have a question. I'm still working with the folks up at the Army Corps on the Trempealeau County Hydrologic Modeling Project. And I saw some email chatter a couple weeks back, and it didn't look like it was really resolved about some questions the Corps had on how to move forward with that project. How are you handling programmatic project development and decision making?
Well, I feel like I asked George Brandt for some direction, because I'm only in those meetings for any mapping purposes. So I'm included on those emails. So I asked George for direction, and I believe he and Kathy were going to discuss and move forward.
Yeah, I didn't see anything come back
Right.
through my email chains. And
You are correct.
I know we want to get that project wrapped up while we've still got the funding available up there. That I don't know if there's any kind of sunset associated with federal fiscal year or not on that, but and I was in on a couple other meetings on the technical aspects of it where we've asked some questions this spring of the modeler to move forward, but I think they're at a point where they need some kind of response from Trempealeau County.
Well, Buzz, we meet with ELU committee tomorrow, so that's a good discussion, good question to bring up.
And I
No
do
problem.
believe it's on the agenda for tomorrow, this ELU
Okay.
meeting. If that's the same topic, you know.
I think it is.
Any other questions for Ann?
Do you need a partner to do this job?
No.
Okay.
I just didn't know if everyone was on the same page as far as what I was doing. Signing timesheets isn't just autographing things
Right.
for a half a day. You need to be supervising
Right.
staff, so.
Jean, are you still?
I think it's been really clear for staff that they need to give Ann their timesheets and they need to use Microsoft Teams, correct?
Teams?
Or
Outlook.
Or Outlook on where they are during the day. And I've talked to several people about why we need to do that. And part of it is safety reasons. If, when I was a supervisor, I needed to know where my people were all the time in case I didn't see them for a couple days. And we could say the last place they went was a home visit in Arcadia, and we haven't seen them since. So it's really important for employees to use Microsoft Teams, use Outlook, so that we know, your safety and your whereabouts is critical to people that are trying to manage during this time.
Is Jean still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you have anything that you wanted to ask of Ann?
Yes. So, and like a typical week, well, actually typical shouldn't be a good word, but anyway, the week, how does the week kind of go, and the staff that is your team? So you're the department head supervisor, and then who now is in that area where you're at?
So it would be all of the land management team, my land records team, and then the parks and the tourism economic development.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm done.
Oh, okay, and I'm not so familiar with all of the staff. Can you tell me who they are?
Yes. I have my land records team, which is Kyle Johnson, Nick Gamroth, and then there's the Department of Land Management team is Verge Gamroth, Mark Carlson, Becky Reed, who am I missing? Ben Anderson and Tess Johnson. And then there's Rob.
Okay, and just so for me, I know what Rob, but for the DLM with Mark and Becky and Reed, that is natural resources things, that's grants. What is their, like, job descriptions, I guess? Because I don't really know.
Jean, I think that's going to be discussed tomorrow at the joint PTED meeting.
Okay.
I think
got
they're
it.
all giving out just a little blurb on what they do.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, we're hoping so.
Good, because unfortunately, I just haven't had the opportunity to meet and understand and get to know people. So that helps me. That helps me out.
And I think that was the reason to meet with them at least twice a year. So because sometimes our work intersects, and it's good to know who everybody is in that world. Because we focus mostly with Becky, Rob, and Reed, and Ann, who does mapping for us. So.
Yes.
Anyone
Yeah,
else? Dan has a question?
You know, I think this is an unusual situation that we're faced with, and I think everybody was hoping that some of the issues in these areas would have been resolved sooner than they have been. So maybe we didn't approach this, you know, in retrospect, I'd be willing to say we didn't approach it properly. We, because it's lasted so long, we probably should have taken formal steps to appoint someone as the supervisor and what the responsibilities would have been. But since we know there has been some confusion about this issue, you know, in fairness to both Ann and all the employees, maybe we need to make sure that everyone is fully aware of what the intention is and what the responsibilities are, and the fact that because of these added responsibilities on Ann's part, she's expected to be treated as the supervisor, and that as has been the case for as, you know, historically for as long as, well, forever, you need to follow your supervisor's direction. So, and I think that is the minimum that we can do at this point is maybe a directive or an email that states to all employees, this is what's going on, and this is what's expected.
And I agree with you, and I think tomorrow is a good opportunity to do that when both committees are together, and so that there's clarity. Because even I haven't always been really clear on what's happening, and people are, you know, calling me, and I don't work in the ELU world. So I think tomorrow's a good opportunity to bring some clarity so that everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows that Ann's in charge right now until things change.
Well, you know, I, for one, am hoping for some answers to questions. I'm the uninitiated, I'm the newbie on this committee, and I don't completely understand the roles and the boundaries between land records and land management, and, you know, I can't remember how long ago that was merged, but
5 years ago.
5 years. And I think it would be safe to say that maybe some of the people working there are a little fuzzy on where the boundaries are and where the responsibilities are. So I'm looking forward to the joint meeting tomorrow to maybe get some answers on some of that.
I think that's a good start for clarity.
Anything else?
I do want to say, I did outline expectations right from the get-go. The same expectations I had on myself and my land records team. So that was outlined. It wasn't, I didn't send it out to any committee members because I'm not sure how much interaction I should be sending to them. And if anyone wants to see it, I have them here. I can pass them out.
You'll be tomorrow at the joint meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I was at the department head meeting last time, and Ann gave an excellent demonstration of how to use the calendar and the teams and that kind of thing. I couldn't see it myself personally. I was not in the right spot, but everybody was in the office that day, I believe, and so everyone did see that presentation. So everyone should, in the three little subcategories of the department or area, should know how to use that and what to do.
And I just want to say, I feel bad that we didn't have this meeting, you know, several months ago. The two groups coming together to just say, this is how it's going to be. You know, we kind of, hindsight is, what is it, 2020? So I think we do need to move forward with a more positive attitude, and people need to support Ann. It's really difficult when there's change and a little bit of chaos and uncertainty, and to not be respectful of your supervisor is not good during all those times. So we'll talk about this again tomorrow when the other half of the world is together.
Bob?
I guess our gratitude goes out to you, Ann, for picking up the pieces.
Yep.
And commitment that you gave to the county for all your years of service and stuff like that is, putting somebody in charge, and everyday business has gone on. But I guess one of the biggest things is accountability is very important. I don't care if you're an employee or an employer, you have to know what's going on, and somebody takes charge, and they might not like it or not, but business goes on and you gotta take orders.
I agree. Thank you.
Yep. And I think, both the committees need to step up to the plate and support what's going on in that whole world. And, we don't need to be micromanagers, but we do need to provide support and encouragement, and when you need us, we're there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Then item 23 is to convene into closed session, which a couple of committee members had asked to put this on the agenda. And I talked with Rick Niemeyer, and there is the investigation with Kevin Leon is still ongoing, so there's nothing to report or discuss on that aspect. But if there are any items that the committee wants to talk about with the PTED staff, that is what I guess this is for. And if we do indeed go into closed session, then I would think that Reed and Becky would probably not, and Rob would not be part of this conversation.
Madam Chair?
I don't have any.
Yes, Dan.
I was at least one of the individuals who wanted that listed on the agenda if necessary. And I think your statement regarding the ongoing investigation to the department head who's on administrative leave would cover that. And that at this time, as far as my desires, there's no need to go into closed session at this time.
Is there a closed session on the agenda for tomorrow, if there's something?
Not the joint meeting, but the ELU there is.
Okay. I have nothing.
So why is it not on the joint meeting?
Because there's nothing to report. The investigation is still ongoing.
Does everybody know what's going on?
I can tell you that the people in the ELU committee do not know what's going on. We have not been informed.
Does everybody in this committee know what's going on?
Well, much of what's happened has been in closed session, which is not to be discussed publicly, and we are in a public format right now. And there is an investigation going on, and maybe the personnel committee will get some information later, but there's nothing to say when there's an ongoing investigation.
Could we probably just hop into closed session so everybody gets, I think the question is how'd this all get going? Why did it get started? I mean, so everybody's on the same page from this committee and understanding why we're even having an investigation at this time before we go into tomorrow's meeting.
But we cannot discuss anything about that investigation until the investigation is over.
Done.
Is that correct, Amy? That's what Rick told me last week.
Yeah, so
Could you clarify, please?
I would agree with that. Yep, I would agree with that. It is still ongoing.
So the only thing we can go into closed session would be if there's something we want to discuss about Reed, Becky, or Rob.
No, that makes you feel really good.
Have at her.
I'll leave.
Yeah, there you go.
I think Buzz looks confused, but we can't, there's nothing to say. when there's an ongoing investigation, we have nothing to talk about because there's attorneys handling the situation, and that's where it's at.
Well, why are we even having investigations? My question.
Well, those are
That's
things.
a good
That's a
question.
good question, and that's why it's happening, and maybe when it's all done, you'll know. I mean, it's kind of like when we did child abuse investigations. They were confidential, they weren't discussed. People would say, well, why are you interviewing these kids? And I would say, because we are, and you have no right to know.
Well, I changed my mind. I'm going to make a motion to go into closed session, as there are some things that we could tell Buzz about what has occurred up to this point, and there is another matter that has become an issue that may or not have been covered appropriately in open session.
Okay, then could you read the official motion with the
My
all the
motion is
wording?
to convene into closed session per Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
And we would need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Feltus. We need a roll call vote.
Petric, yes.
Feltus, yes.
Nutter, no.
Shriner, yes.
Killian, no.
Somebody on the computer said yes.
Sorgi, yes.
We can't hear you, Buzz.
Sorgi, yes.
Can read lips, but
I can read it.
Oh, sorry.
Yes or no?
It's a yes, but
Thank
if you
you.
can't hear me, my mic must not be working.
No.
It is now.
We can hear you now.
What about Jean?
Okay.
I said yes.
Okay. Then the vote was what, 5-2? So we will go into closed session at 10:41. It will take some time for the TV studio to shut everybody down. So we'll take a short